good morning. I am Desy Putri Handayani, and today we will have a very special edition for Fisheris Department podcast because now we are using English, and now I have been accompanied by a very special guest. He is a researcher from Austria. He is a Mr. Andreas Bauer, but we can call him Mr. Andy.
Yes.
And he is a researcher at Institute for Development
Research of
in University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences of Vienna, Austria. And this is my first experience to have a guest who comes from Europe, and I am a little bit nervous, but I hope you can understand my English.
I can understand very well. Thank you so much.
Because my English is not well. Because my English is not good well. Today we will have a very special edition, and it was about the young generation contribution to fisheries development. Before we start our conversation today, how was your day, Mr. Andy?
It was great so far. Let's see how it's going. But I'm very delighted to be here today. And some things I want to mention is what they always say is broken English is the language of science, and I can understand you very well. I'm very grateful that you have me today.
Okay, thank you very much. Is it your first time to come in Indonesia, especially in Yogyakarta?
It's my second time. I have been here already once, and I really enjoy the people, I enjoy the country, and I enjoy the food. That is what we talked about a little bit before, yes.
Oh, have you tried like a rendang or nasi goreng or satay?
Yeah, I tried the satay sapi.
Oh,
I really
satay
like,
sapi?
so
Oh,
I can
okay.
see. And I tried some of the dishes, yes.
So you are comfortable to live in Yogyakarta?
Yes, I'm quite comfortable to be here, yes.
Okay, have you ever tasted the gudeg or
Not
the
yet.
sweet? Oh, not yet. Maybe
Not
after
yet.
that we can.
After
can,
that we can try
get-
definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
okay. But before we start our conversation, would you like to give a warm greeting for our listener or viewers around the world by say, "Hello, Sahabat Perikanan," together with me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, Sahabat
Sahaman
Perikanan.
Perikanan.
Hello, Sahabat Perikanan.
Hello, Sahabat Perikanan.
Okay, wow, it's very good. Your Indonesia is good. Okay, Mr. Andy, would you like to introduce yourself first? Who you are, where are you from, and what's your research or project research now?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm Mr. Andreas Bauer. I'm from the Institute for Development Research at the University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences, Vienna. I do my research in the area of freshwater ecosystem management at the Institute for Development Research in Vienna. And the institute is focused around different research areas, I would say. One is the food security aspect, and one is learning in development processes, and the other one is on this ecosystem modeling, where I'm conducting my research. And I'm a researcher and also project manager.
Oh, project manager also? Oh my God.
I worked a lot in Africa, in the global south, namely in the countries of Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia. And there we are implementing several projects on integrating aquaculture systems, sustainable fisheries, as well as freshwater management.
So you not only work in Austria but also in Africa. So would you like to tell us about your experience in Africa? Because there are some issue about the water management and then some of drought and climate change in Africa. How about your opinion?
Yes, I can definitely. What we are facing nowadays is, and I talked about this yesterday. I held a presentation at the Department of Fisheris. Is what we are facing nowadays is multiple crises, and it's increasing exposure of our environment to disasters and risks. And some of them, just to name some of them, is especially in Europe and the US, Australia, increased amount of wildfires, floods, as well as droughts. This is all due to, I would say, human impacts, population growth, and climate change. And we have to face these challenges with good research ideas, innovative ideas, and that is where also the young generation then comes in, to come in with new perspective, with new ideas. And especially through my work in Africa, especially in Uganda, where there is several areas that are very prone and exposed to these natural hazards and disasters. Especially there, what I realized is that there's a need for research, a need for developing useful policy and management of freshwater ecosystems and fisheries, and also a strong need to implement policy. This is what is currently the main challenge. There are some policies in place in Eastern Africa that are quite good, but they're not very well implemented on the ground. And another thing that will be very important in the future is to work on this more smallholder scale level, to work with local communities, but to think in, I would say, a more global context, to think about these global challenges. And therefore I like also the slogan of the university. It's this locally rooted and globally respected. And you can translate or bridge this to then also how you should work, especially in the future in fisheries. It's work on a local scale, be locally rooted, and then globally respected. You could translate it to that you have already put your values into a global perspective.
So what are the freshwater fish in Africa the most farming by the people of in there?
The most farmed fish are definitely tilapia.
Tilapia, yes.
Yes, and they farm them a lot in lakes, but also they farm a lot in
a fish pond, maybe? No, there
in
is
fish ponds they have different ways of farming fish there. They do cage fish farming. Yeah, they have such methods that is called a finger pond, where I don't know if you know these methods. And they also harvest a lot from the natural waters. And maybe to bridge this a little bit to what is happening in my country, in Austria, their farming in general in natural waters is not practiced that much. So fishing in Austria is more done for recreational purposes, I would say. And this is the background because our waters were highly modified in terms of like hydromorphology. So they created a lot of barriers in Austria that are now not passable for fish. And also it led to less sediment for spawning habitats. We have a lot of salmonids there. So maybe to bring this also in the perspective of maybe Austria, what is happening in Austria and what is happening in Africa, which might be quite similar to what is happening in Indonesia.
Oh yeah. So in the first time you said that you are also a project manager.
Yes.
So you have a lot of project in Austria and Africa. Do you have any plan to make a project in Indonesia?
I definitely have some ideas. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. I would really like to come for maybe a summer school. We have some courses on applied development research at the University of Natural Resources and Life Sciences in Vienna, where we could offer maybe some students to join via Zoom or something. So this is maybe something positive we learned from the COVID pandemic, that we have a lot of tools we can use to stay in contact all over the world. But definitely I would like to come back to Indonesia.
Okay, so you have a plan to go back in Indonesia and make a big project, how to manage our freshwater farming in Indonesia. And how about the food security in Africa, or because the fishery in Africa has a lot of natural resources like tilapia or another fish. How about the food security in there?
Yeah, definitely that is a challenge, and that is something that is at the core of what we are working on. Yeah, we're working on this, I would say, on the edge between the natural sciences and the social sciences, and we try to understand what is necessary to make our food systems or food systems in the global south also more resilient. And what you mentioned is food insecurity, I would call it, is a big challenge all over the world. And for the future, it will need a broad understanding, I would say, of exactly this research that is trans and interdisciplinary. And this means that we combine different disciplines, and we really form a broad understanding of what underlies food insecurity. When we're talking about fisheries, for example, we need to understand the social sciences behind the cultural aspects, the traditional knowledge. This is important for fisheries, and why fish are, for example, not used, why fish are used, why certain environments are overexploited and overharvested. This plays a very crucial and important role in fighting food insecurity.
Okay, because there are many fish farmer in there. How to manage the water quality in Africa? Because we know that there are a lot of wastewater in there. There are some special management for the water, so the nature is still good for the next generation.
Yeah, that is exactly one of the main challenges. It's a very hard question to answer. Definitely, what you can do is to improve water cleaning, but also to promote this self-cleaning capacity of the ecosystems. At the moment, where we done the research around Kampala in Uganda, we are quite lucky that the wetlands are still intact, and our recent research is showing that there is this ability to self-clean from pollution. It's still remaining, but it will be a challenge to keep this self-cleaning ability of these freshwater ecosystem services. That is something you can work on, doing maybe some protected areas that remain, but also to put the right policy in place. And if the right policy is already in place, to enforce it, to check industry.
Yeah. Okay. So, for the food security, is it similar with food sovereignty? Because we know that some people it's very hard to get a good food, and have a good health in Africa.
That's also a very, very difficult question, and there are experts at my institute that can answer these questions. I will have to say here, I can only give you my personal opinion, but into more detail, there my professor, she's Stephanie Lemke. She's working on this community-based research and using a lot of participatory approaches, and she is specialized in the area of gender and food sovereignty. She's an expert. From what my experience is on this food sovereignty, there is a right, of course, to good food, but also we have to balance it with the food that is available. I think this is something where we can then maybe bridge to these resilient food systems again. I think in the future it will need us to transition towards a more plant-based diet, because just producing beef, producing chicken, producing fish might be not very sustainable.
Okay, so
when we're talking also about population growth, of course, and the demand of more protein.
Okay, so you have a lot of project research. Can we or can our student help you, or can we doing a good collaboration work in your institution? If we can, how to join it?
Definitely, we can do that. There's an opportunity for funding research projects from the Austrian ministries. It's called the Asia Uninet, where especially young researchers, but also established researchers in the field, they can ask for grants and funds for mobility and also for establishing networks. And also there's a great opportunity for students, for PhD students to apply for a PhD scholarship. For example, there's an option to apply for a postdoc for the PhDs around here, for a postdoc. And also there's the Erasmus Plus program. But I think with the Erasmus Plus, I'm not so very well informed, but I think your institution has a great history using the Erasmus Plus. So this is also a good option. Also, if you just want to go for your master's research, for example, within the Erasmus Plus, this is possible. Yeah. And what I can offer at the Institute of Development Research, we are sitting there at BOKU at this, I would say we are this connection hub, where you can just contact me or our institute, and even if we cannot provide the scientific expertise for your research, we can offer you to establish the first contact to the right people at the different institutions and departments, and then you can start working on your research and the ideas, and also to getting in contact with people. That is what we can definitely offer.
Okay, so we our student can join with your research, or can apply some proposal, or doing their research together, because you are very good experience in freshwater, and then in a policy and the ecosystem and ecological fisheries. So I think I'm interested with you, because you have a lot of experience. You know how to culture fish, and how to make policies for the fisheries farmer and for a good health. And unfortunately, this is my last question. Do you have any message for the young generation to get more interest in a fisheries sustainable, or in fisheries sector?
Yeah, definitely. That was when I got the questions before the interview. I was looking forward to what I can say to the young people, and I want to keep it more general. I want to encourage young people to pursue a career in science, but I also want to tell you, this is something I heard just too late personally. From a very good friend and lecturer, Jan Sensemir, and he said, even though you're studying at university, not all of you will be researchers, and I want to empower you to be confident, or to be okay with that. Not every one of us has to be a scientist or has to be a researcher. There's a lot of demand for well-educated young people that know on how knowledge is created, that know scientific research methods, and that can really critically think in a lot of other areas. Might it be business, policy, management, project management, entrepreneur, for example, for sustainable businesses. There's a lot of opportunities, and don't be afraid if you don't feel the drive to be a scientist. That's also okay. Because being a scientist, it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of work, and you should really love getting up in the morning and get to work and doing your research. You should be passionate, because this will determine the quality of the research you do. When you get up in the morning and you're looking forward to do work, you will deliver a completely different quality of research than you can do when you force yourself every day. And I think what is also important, and I think then I can end, I'm not getting a little bit philosophical, I know. It is very important to be aware of that not everyone can know everything. It's very okay to say you don't know. And it's also very important that when you spend time, for example, in a lecture, in a course, or discussing with other researchers, it's important to say your opinion, to ask research questions, because we are all dedicating time to be here. So we should definitely raise questions and say what's on our mind. And also we should listen to people and listen to the opinions of people that have contrary opinion. there's often a lot of things in there to discover about ourselves and how to move forward. Yeah, listening to people is very important, especially in science.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Andy, for joining in the Fisheris podcast and give us a lot of information and nice information. I hope someday I can visit to Austria or another country like Africa or America, South America, and get a good collaboration with you or another country. Okay, this is the end of our session. If you like this video, don't forget to give your like, comment, subscribe, and share. Me and Mr. Andy, goodbye.
Goodbye.